Hi everyone and welcome along. Today we're going to do the November floral word art, and the flower of November is the chrysanthemum. So there's lots of new interesting techniques to learn here, but we're going to begin by drawing a circle on our page. Now I'm going to do it just a little bit lower than the halfway up, and I always feel like I mess up circle drawing when I do it on camera. You can see I'm a bit nervous with the compass, but here we go. Yay, okay, perfect. And in the style of the more recent word arts, I've been doing a sort of a wash on a background, adding some seasonal flowers, and then placing in the long word, because November is another long one, featuring that in somewhere nice and sort of small. It just looks a bit more chic, if I'm honest. So I'm just mixing together some cadmium orange, a little bit of alizarin crimson, and a little bit of yellow ochre into a nice warm wash, and I'm just going to fill in this circle so the paint is nice and dilute. I want to try and work quite fast. So I've got a size 8 brush, and the size 8 pointed round means that I can get right up to the edges, get a fairly controlled action there while still being quite swift with it, because that's the challenge. We want to have this painted in nice and smoothly, but also keeping it nice and neat. So we're going to let this dry 100%, and then we can paint in some chrysanthemums. Right, I'm going to draw in my stems first. I'm going to have one coming up out the top there, and what I'm going to do, I've got this base here, but as you can see, so we've got the base, which is like the curve of the bottom of the flower, but then looking inside the flower, there's a sort of cup shape sort of sticking up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to sort of draw in that cup shape, and we'll have one down here a little bit more open. And now I'm going to take some colour that I've just mixed up. The centres of the chrysanthemum are green, of this one anyway. So I've got some green mixed up here, which is a mixture of sap green, green gold, and a bit of Payne's grey, just to knock it back a little bit. And I've got a size 0 brush. What I'm going to do to begin with is just paint in little dashes that are just sort of going into the centre there at the top of that cup shape. I always think chrysanthemums are quite difficult because you're never quite sure where to begin, but after having a little go, I actually taught a workshop, an in-person workshop the other day, which was really lovely. And we had these chrysanthemums in the vases in front of us, and so we had a good look at them and were able to really sort of study them. I'm just cleaning my brush off and just sort of drawing the paint out a little bit, just softening it just a touch. And then in here I've got a mixture of alizarin crimson, permanent rose, and a little bit of French ultramarine blue, and that is making a really lovely purpley petal colour. And what I'm going to do, which is quite dilute, is I'm going to just draw the shape down and create that little cup shape. It's very important that you start dilute with this because we're going to be adding layers over the top. So just a few little ones at the back. But all we're doing is just sort of establishing that shape there. So you can see here we've got that central cup, and now it's all these petals around the edge that are much longer and curling up, but curling out quite broadly too. So I might go up a size, but for now I will stick with my size 0. So I've got a slightly more concentrated colour here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to always begin my petals from that anchor point. And of course there are going to be times where we can't see the petals because they're going to be in behind, so for those we're going to just mentally imagine that they're coming in from the side. Then of course there'll be some that come down the front as well. And you can see here that that's why we needed to be nice and dilute with the petals that first time round, because we are layering up now over the top. I think this is the kind of flower that you just need to hold your nerve with, because even when I'm painting it I'm like, is this any good? I'm not sure. And then suddenly it all starts to fall into place. So we're just going to paint in all of these now. This one is just a little bit more angled outwards, and I also thought it might be quite fun to have this one sort of actually inside the circle, not have every single one coming out. So you just got to be a bit more careful with the ends of your petals. I've mixed up some more of the petal colour, just even more concentrated, and I've now got a size 2/10 brush. I've just gone a tiny bit smaller, and I'm going to do a few more petals. But I'm also just going to use it to enhance some of the existing petals as well. Okay, so I've done those, and now I'm just going to add just a few little brush strokes. And that looks pretty nice. So yeah, the best piece of advice I can give you for painting chrysanthemums is start nice and dilute, because then you've got somewhere you can actually go with the petal layers. Now we've got our flowers painted in, it's time to put the stems in. So I've got this same green that we mixed up earlier, sap green, green gold and Payne's grey. And I'm now with my 2/10 brush just very carefully drawing in the stem. Now the stem is sort of ridged, it's textured, so I'm using lots of thin lines to paint it in. And I've also got a leaf just to the right here, which I want to include a few of. So I'll get my size 2 brush and I'm going to paint in 2 mirrored C curves, and then very like the holly we were painting actually last week, instead of spikes we're just adding slightly more curved lines in. I'm just going to take my size 2 10th brush and just blend that into the stem. And I've just got sap green on the brush here, so I can use this as an opportunity to just add a few little extra details. If you look closely at that leaf, there are a few extra little shapes on it. With those all painted in, what I've just done is taken my compass and drawn 2 larger circles. I found the same central point, just made the compass a little bit larger, so I can now write in the wording for the month. Let's see, will I judge this right? Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I've got some Mars Black, and I'm going to just write in the lettering nice and simply with a small brush. I'm using a 2/10, but it's really up to you what you like to use. The pencil's all been rubbed out, and there is our word art for November. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again next time.